Ants perform many ecological roles that are beneficial to humans, including the suppression of pest populations and aeration of the soil. The use of weaver ants in citrus cultivation in southern China is considered one of the oldest known applications of biological control. On the other hand, ants may become nuisances when they invade buildings or cause economic losses. In some parts of the world, mainly Africa and South America, large ants, especially army ants, are used as surgical sutures. The wound is pressed together and ants are applied along it. The ant seizes the edges of the wound in its mandibles and locks in place. The body is then cut off and the head and mandibles remain in place to close the wound. The large heads of the dinergates, soldiers, of the leaf-cutting ant Attocephalotes are also used by native surgeons in closing wounds. Some ants have toxic venom and are of medical importance. The species include Paraponera clavata, Tocandira, and Dinoponera spp. False Tocandiras, of South America and the Myrmecia ants of Australia. In South Africa, ants are used to help harvest the seeds of rooibos, Aspalathus linearis, a plant used to make herbal tea. The plant disperses its seeds widely, making manual collection difficult. Black ants collect and store these and other seeds in their nest, where humans can gather them en masse. Up to half a pound of seeds may be collected from one ant heap. Although most ants survive attempts by humans to eradicate them, a few are highly endangered. These tend to be island species that have evolved specialized traits and risk being displaced by introduced ant species. Examples include the critically endangered Sri Lankan relict ant, Aenertus simoni, and Adetomyrma venatrix of Madagascar. Ants and their larvae are eaten in different parts of the world. The eggs of two species of ants are used in Mexican escamoles. They are considered a form of insect caviar and can sell for as much as $50 per kilogram going up to $200 per kilogram, as of 2006 because they are seasonal and hard to find. In the Colombian department of Santander, hormigas culonas, roughly interpreted as large-bottomed ants, Atta lavigata, are toasted alive and eaten. In areas of India, and throughout Burma and Thailand, a paste of the green weaver ant, Oecophila smaragdina, is served as a condiment with curry. Weaver ant eggs and larvae, as well as the ants, may be used in a Thai salad, yam in a dish called yam kai mo dang or red ant egg salad, a dish that comes from the Isan or northeastern region of Thailand. Seville Kent, in The Naturalist in Australia wrote, "Beauty, in the case of the green ant, is more than skin deep. Their attractive, almost sweetmeat-like translucency possibly invited the first essays at their consumption by the human species. Mashed up in water, after the manner of lemon squash, these ants form a pleasant acid drink which is held in high favor by the natives of North Queensland, and is even appreciated by many European palates." In his first summer in the Sierra, John Muir notes that the Digger Indians of California ate the tickling, acid gasters of the large jet black carpenter ants. The Mexican Indians eat the repletes, or living honey pots, of the honey ant Myrmecocystus. Some ant species are considered as pests, primarily those that occur in human habitations, where their presence is often problematic. For example, the presence of ants would be undesirable in sterile places such as hospitals or kitchens. Some species or genera commonly categorized as pests include the Argentine ant, immigrant pavement ant, yellow crazy ant, banded sugar ant, pharaoh ant, red wood ant, black carpenter ant, odorous house ant, red imported fire ant, and European fire ant. Some ants will raid stored food, some will seek water sources, others may damage indoor structures, some may damage agricultural crops directly or by aiding sucking pests. Some will sting or bite. The adaptive nature of ant colonies make it nearly impossible to eliminate entire colonies, and most pest management practices aim to control local populations and tend to be temporary solutions. Ant populations are managed by a combination of approaches that make use of chemical, biological, and physical methods. Chemical methods include the use of insecticidal bait which is gathered by ants as food and brought back to the nest where the poison is inadvertently spread to other colony members through trophallaxis. Management is based in the species and techniques may vary according to the location and circumstance. Observed by humans since the dawn of history, the behavior of ants has been documented and the subject of early writings and fables passed from one century to another. Those using scientific methods, myrmecologists, study ants in the laboratory and in their natural conditions. Their complex and variable social structures have made ants ideal model organisms. Ultraviolet vision was first discovered in ants by Sir John Lubbock in 1881. Studies on ants have tested hypotheses in ecology and sociobiology, and have been particularly important in examining the predictions of theories of kin selection and evolutionarily stable strategies. Ant colonies may be studied by rearing or temporarily maintaining them in formicaria, specially constructed glass-framed enclosures. Individuals may be tracked for study by marking them with dots of colors. The successful techniques used by ant colonies have been studied in computer science and robotics to produce distributed and fault-tolerant systems for solving problems, for example ant colony optimization and ant robotics. This area of biomimetics has led to studies of ant locomotion, search engines that make use of foraging trails, fault-tolerant storage, and networking algorithms. From the late 1950s through the late 1970s, ant farms were popular educational children's toys in the United States. Some later commercial versions use transparent gel instead of soil, allowing greater visibility at the cost of stressing the ants with unnatural light. Anthropomorphized ants have often been used in fables and children's stories to represent industriousness and cooperative effort. They also are mentioned in religious texts. In the Book of Proverbs in the Bible, ants are held up as a good example of hard work and cooperation. Aesop did the same in his fable The Ant and the Grasshopper. In the Quran, Sulayman is said to have heard and understood an ant warning other ants to return home to avoid being accidentally crushed by Sulayman and his marching army. In parts of Africa, ants are considered to be the messengers of the deities. Some Native American mythology, such as the Hopi mythology, considers ants as the very first animals. Ant bites are often said to have curative properties. The sting of some species of Pseudomyrmex is claimed to give fever relief. Ant bites are used in the initiation ceremonies of some Amazon Indian cultures as a test of endurance. Ant society has always fascinated humans and has been written about both humorously and seriously. Mark Twain wrote about ants in his 1880 book A Tramp Abroad. Some modern authors have used the example of the ants to comment on the relationship between society and the individual. Examples are Robert Frost in his poem, Departmental, and T.H. White in his fantasy novel The Once and Future King. The plot in French entomologist and writer Bernard Werber's Les Formes science fiction trilogy is divided between the worlds of ants and humans, ants and their behavior is described using contemporary scientific knowledge. H.G. Wells wrote about intelligent ants destroying human settlements in Brazil and threatening human civilization in his 1905 science fiction short story, The Empire of the Ants. In more recent times, animated cartoons and 3D animated films featuring ants have been produced including Ants, A Bug's Life, The Ant Bully, The Ant and the Aardvark, Ferdy the Ant and Adam Ant. Renowned myrmecologist E.O. Wilson wrote a short story, Trailhead, in 2010 for the New Yorker magazine, which describes the life and death of an ant queen and the rise and fall of her colony, from an ant's point of view. The French neuroanatomist, psychiatrist and eugenicist Auguste Forel believed that ant societies were models for human society. He published a 5-volume work from 1921 to 1923 that examined ant biology and society. In the early 1990s, the video game Ciment, which simulated an ant colony, won the 1992 Cody Award for Best Simulation Program. Ants also are quite popular inspiration for many science fiction insectoids, such as the Formix of Ender's Game, the bugs of Starship Troopers, the giant ants in the films Them. An Empire of the Ants, Marvel Comics superhero Ant-Man, and ants mutated into super intelligence in Phase 4. In computer strategy games, ant-based species often benefit from increased production rates due to their single-minded focus, such as the Klakens in the Master of Orion series of games or the CHCHT in Deadlock 2. These characters are often credited with a hive mind, a common misconception about ant colonies. Ants are eusocial insects of the family Formicidae and, along with the related wasps and bees, belong to the order Hymenoptera. Ants evolved from Vespoid wasp ancestors in the Cretaceous period. More than 13,800 of an estimated total of 22,000 species have been classified. They are easily identified by their geniculate elbowed antennae and the distinctive node-like structure that forms their slender waists. Ants form colonies that range in size from a few dozen predatory individuals living in small natural cavities to highly organized colonies that may occupy large territories and consist of millions of individuals. Larger colonies consist of various castes of sterile, wingless females, most of which are workers or gates, as well as soldiers, dinergates, and other specialized groups. Nearly all ant colonies also have some fertile males called drones, and one or more fertile females called queens, gynes. The colonies are described as superorganisms because the ants appear to operate as a unified entity, collectively working together to support the colony. Ants have colonized almost every landmass on Earth. The only places lacking indigenous ants are Antarctica and a few remote or inhospitable islands. Ants thrive in most ecosystems and may form 15–25% of the terrestrial animal biomass. Their success in so many environments has been attributed to their social organization and their ability to modify habitats, tap resources, and defend themselves. Their long co-evolution with other species has led to mimetic, commensal, parasitic, and mutualistic relationships. Ant societies have division of labor, communication between individuals, and an ability to solve complex problems. These parallels with human societies have long been an inspiration and subject of study. Many human cultures make use of ants in cuisine, medication, and rites. Some species are valued in their role as biological pest control agents. Their ability to exploit resources may bring ants into conflict with humans, however, as they can damage crops and invade buildings. Some species, such as the red imported fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, of South America, are regarded as invasive species in other parts of the world, establishing themselves in areas where they have been introduced accidentally.